Okay, so starting off, you have the Chariot card in reverse. And for those of you who are Gemini Rising, this would be occurring in your first house, the house of self. So this is dealing with you and your identity and how you see yourself and how you project that image to others. And this is really talking about, it's almost like this competition, this race that's occurring, where you have to decide who you are. And I know that for Gemini, that can be a challenging aspect, as Gemini is two persons in one. So the question is who are you? Are you the person on the left, the person on the right? And really, this is kind of this race, this mission to find a way for you to bring these two pieces together so that you identify as both. The two parts become one whole. That's what this is really about, is kind of questioning yourself and who you are and sort of bringing the two pieces together to combine them into one. And the reason why this is in reverse, too, is not only is this a really challenging part of your life starting off this month of January, dealing with self-identity and who you are and how you project that to others, but also this is kind of telling you to stop competing, to stop going on this race, to stop trying to figure out which version of myself am I going to show you, which twin is coming out. And it's really dealing with bringing the twins together, bringing those two people together and saying, well, they're not really two people, it's just one person made up of two parts. So this is kind of putting those missing pieces together, kind of finding solutions and figuring things out, especially dealing with who you are and how you express who you are. And next, you have the Two of Rods. And if you are a Gemini rising, this would be in your second house, the house of this physical plane, the materialistic possessions, finances, creature comforts, a sense of safety and security. So this is a house that is ruled by Taurus. And for you, this is in Cancer. You have your second house in Cancer if you are a Gemini rising. And having this here, there really is a need for safety and security. Right? You really feel comfortable with where you are. You have to feel comfortable with where you are in order to move forward. And it kind of goes along with this sense of having that Gemini rising, that Gemini is very unstable. So there's a need for security. There's a need for stability. Right, because Gemini is quick and adaptable. It is constantly changing, constantly moving. So there's this need for stability. And here, even if you are a Gemini Sun or Gemini Moon, if this resonates with you, just look at your moon sign, your rising sign, and your sun sign videos is what I say, to see what best resonates with you. And for a lot of people, it is going to be the rising sign, because that's sort of how we see ourselves and how we project ourselves on others. But some of us may be very emotional, and we connect to our moon sign as well. That kind of emotional stability and that instinct, that intuition. We kind of act on our feelings. That's connecting us to our moon sign. Some of us might even be so in tune with who we are that we're connecting with our sun sign, our true self, our soul. It's who we are on a deeper level. And here, this is hugely talking about stability. This is talking about this need to have this foundation, to have this stability, this grounding before you start to move forward. This is kind of telling you to start to farm these foundations, these ways to stabilize yourself before you start to go out on some adventure, go out seeking some answer, come up with this great vision. Because he's there, he's kind of looking like, this is my vision, this is how I see everything, this is how I want to move forward. But if he doesn't have that stability, then how can he actually move forward, right? Because when we talk about this Gemini energy, there is sort of this sense of, well, I think I know where I want to go. Because Gemini is I think. Gemini is the thinker, right? This is the explorer. This is thinking and wondering and questioning in your mind. This is an intellectual questioning, an intellectual seeking of a journey. And here, with Gemini, especially those of you who are Gemini Rising or Gemini Suns, you might feel like, okay, I know which direction I'm going in, but am I going to be able to go through with that all the way? Because with Gemini, there is sort of this need of stability to kind of follow through with things. Because remember that Gemini is quick and adaptable, so Gemini could change at any moment. Gemini could be like, I think I'm going in this direction, and then all of a sudden, we're going in a completely different direction, right? This idea of duality, the twins, which is great because it's very intellectual and quick and adaptable and can learn easily. But the bad thing is this sense of instability, this sense of constantly moving and changing, right? So there needs to be some sort of foundation, some sort of stability, some sort of grounding under your feet before you start any kind of adventure or project or journey. And then moving on, as we were just talking about security, the moon card comes up. And this is in your third house. The moon actually rules Cancer, which would be where your second house is, if you have Gemini in your first house. And so here, this is going to the third house, which is a Gemini ruled house. This deals with networking and communication and business and movement and thoughts and learning. This is sort of how we connect with one another on an intellectual level. This is how we are able to quickly learn and adapt to new environments. This is how we gain knowledge, right? And here, for those of you who have Gemini Rising, Gemini in your first house, here in your third house, you have Leo. And with Leo, this is really dealing with what you are most passionate about, what you love, what you hold closest to your heart, what you would put all of your faith and your trust and your honesty into. This is a very noble position for you. And with the moon in reverse, this is telling you don't act on your feelings. And especially dealing with Gemini moons, as Gemini is a very scattered energy, you may feel as though your emotions are kind of all over the place and you're quickly changing emotions. And it gives you this sense of instability and insecurity that you're kind of unsure of yourself. And here, this is kind of reminding you not to allow your emotions to affect you, not to act on instinct, but to make sure that you have all the information, all the details. And I know it's not going to be hard for you to get the details, being a Mercury ruled sign, but just be sure that you are acting on intelligence and not emotion. And then the Judgment card comes up. And for those of you who are Gemini risings, this will occur in your fourth house. The fourth house is a Cancer ruled house, so it deals with the past, childhood, family, emotional attachments. And for you, this is occurring in Virgo, which is a very detail-oriented, hardworking, dedicated sign. And for you, that's very appropriate as you will be tested. This is kind of like there's something that is going to maybe be a roadblock for you, something challenging, something to test you, which for a lot of you who have strong Gemini energy, this is going to be exciting for you. Because Gemini kind of has this thing where it likes the challenge, it likes to sort of problem solve and figure things out. And this is kind of what this is. This is saying to take a closer look, to make sure you have all the details, to make sure that you are not repeating the same old habits from the past, which goes along with the theme of North Node in Cancer, which has already started, but will especially be important taking us into 2019, especially with this full moon that we're having. This full moon in Cancer, this energy will be amplified. And this North Node in Cancer is really moving us away from this South Node in Capricorn that kind of deals with systems and rules and restrictions and laws and discipline and hard work and tradition and just old ways of doing things. So this is kind of your ticket to releasing these old systems, these old behaviors, these old thought patterns, these old emotions that don't serve you. This is kind of your way to move forward. In a lot of this, you may feel as though that you have already done, but this is a test. So this is something that will come up again to kind of teach you to move on from this. And this is especially important as Gemini is a very intellectual sign. So I feel as though a lot of times Gemini is a sign that doesn't really know how to deal with emotions as much. Right, Gemini is kind of a sign that would rather solve a problem